When an avoidant falls in love, it doesn't feel romantic to them. It feels like pressure, like losing control, like something is about to close in on them. And that's why most people completely misread it. Because when an avoidant starts caring deeply, they don't move closer. They get uncomfortable. They get critical. They get busy. They get distant. Not because they don't feel anything, but because they feel too much. And if you don't understand what's happening in their nervous system at that moment, you'll assume the exact opposite of the truth. Here's the mistake that people make. They think avoidants can't love, that they're cold, detached, emotionally unavailable, end of story. But that's wrong. Most avoidants feel deeply, sometimes intensely. The difference is not emotion. It's what their nervous system does when the emotion becomes vulnerability. For someone secure, closeness feels regulating. But for someone avoidant, closeness can feel like exposure. And exposure in their early wiring equals danger. So when love starts to matter, their system doesn't relax. It fires a stress response. Let's be precise. An avoidant starts developing real feelings, but instead of butterflies and warmth, they may feel irritable, restless, trapped, suddenly hyper-aware of flaws, with an urge to create distance. Their internal dialogue sounds like, why are they texting so much? Why does this feel heavy? I need space. This is getting too intense. But here's the psychological twist. That reaction often appears right when the bond deepens, when it becomes real, when there's something to lose. Their nervous system interprets emotional dependency as overwhelming, like losing control. Because somewhere, early in their life, dependency felt unsafe. Maybe their needs were dismissed, maybe vulnerability was shamed, maybe closeness came with control. The child learned, I'm safest when I rely on myself. As an adult, they fall in love, but the blueprint triggers the same protective response that they had as a child. Now here's the paradox that confuses partners. Avoidants often feel safest falling for someone in the early stages of dating, when there's chemistry, ambiguity, space, oxygen, room to breathe. No permanence, no merging, no full access. They can be warm, attentive, engaged, because the risk is still theoretical. But the second commitment becomes concrete, meeting family, moving in, daily consistency, future plans, then something shifts. Now there's something to lose. Now someone has emotional leverage. And instead of moving closer, their system says, whoa, back up. From the outside, it looks like a loss of interest. From the inside, it's their stress response kicking in. This part is brutal. When avoidants fall in love, they often start noticing tiny flaws in their partner, things that they may never have had an issue with before. The way that they laugh, the way they text, the way they need reassurance. Suddenly, everything feels irritating. But that irritation isn't random. It's a distancing strategy on their part. Their brain is scanning for justification. If I focus on what's wrong, I won't feel how attached I'm becoming to them. Devaluation reduces vulnerability. It's not conscious cruelty, it's protection. And if you chase harder in response, you amplify the threat. This is where the loop forms. You feel distance, you lean in, you ask for clarity, and you seek reassurance. They feel pressure. they pull back, they need space, they shut down. You escalate, they retreat. And now you're not in love. You're in a nervous system feedback loop. And this is why so many anxious avoidant dynamics feel addictive, because the intensity isn't intimacy, it's their protective response becoming activated. Now here's the part that nobody talks about. When an avoidant is actually falling in love and choosing growth, it doesn't look dramatic, it looks like restraint. It looks like them not ending it during a surge of panic, them saying that they're overwhelmed instead of disappearing, them staying in a conversation that feels exposing, them sitting with discomfort instead of manufacturing distance. Love for them is not moving towards someone effortlessly, it's staying when their body wants to leave. That's the courage that most people don't see. Here's a psychological nuance that matters. Avoidants often struggle more with receiving love than expressing it. Being loved can trigger shame in them, because being supported fires the old message that they shouldn't need anyone. So when you show up consistently, when you care deeply, when you offer stability, they may feel exposed or weak or seen in ways that feel unsafe. And instead of melting into it, they brace. There is always a choice point. It usually arrives quietly. A partner says calmly, "I care about you, but I need more emotional presence." No drama, no threat, just clarity. The avoidant feels the familiar urge to end it, to escape, to relieve the pressure. But something new can happen. They recognise the pattern. They realise that they've left at this exact stage before, that it's relief now, but regret later. And for the first time, they choose to stay through the discomfort instead of fleeing into short-term safety. That's when change begins. Not when fear disappears, but when fear is tolerated. You can't argue an avoidant into feeling safe. You can't logic them out of their protective nervous system response. You can't reassure someone into rewiring themselves. But what helps is consistency without pressure, closeness without engulfment, and independence without punishment. When they see that you have your own identity, your own regulation, your own stability, love stops feeling like captivity and it starts feeling optional. And optional feels safer than obligatory. Avoidant love is not lesser love, it's protected love. It's filtered, guarded, measured. But here's the reality. If they never examine the pattern, if they never build awareness, if they never tolerate discomfort, the cycle repeats. Intensity, distance, relief, regret. Over and over and over. Growth requires self-observation. It requires them to think to themselves, "I'm criticising them after a close weekend. I suddenly want to create space. Is this fear?" That moment of awareness is everything. Avoidants don't fall in love by becoming different people overnight. They fall in love by staying through discomfort, by choosing presence over escape, by allowing someone to matter enough that losing them would hurt, by tolerating the vulnerability they once learned to avoid. Perfect self-protection has a cost, and that cost is loneliness. The capacity to love was never missing, it was buried under protection that once made sense, that once protected them. When an avoidant dismantles those walls slowly, brick by brick, what emerges is not coldness, It's deliberate love. And deliberate love, the kind that's chosen again and again, despite fear, is powerful. And it's special.